It's Platt, and today we try another beer from Sierra Nevada. That's next with Platt's Beer of the Week. The particular beer we're going to try today is the Sierra Nevada Torpedo Extra IPA. Now, real quick, I want to talk about the term Extra IPA. There's Pale Ales, PAs. There's Indian Pale Ales, IPAs. There's Imperial Indian Pale Ales, IIPAs or double IPAs. The term Extra Pale Ale, there's really not a beer category for it or whatever. And the ABV and IBUs in this beer aren't that high compared to a regular IPA. So don't let the Extra IPA throw you off. This is just a classic Indian Pale Ale. We have previously reviewed a beer from Sierra Nevada before. I believe it was the Norwal Imperial Stout. And we reviewed a little bit of the history of Sierra Nevada. We'll give you a quick little recap. Sierra Nevada was founded in Chico, California in 1979 by a gentleman named Ken Grossman. Ken was one of the first homebrewers. Homebrewing wasn't legalized in the U.S. till the late 70s, so he was one of the first homebrewers out there. And like a lot of homebrewers, we all have the dream of starting our own brewery. Well, he actually went through it, and opening a brewery back then kind of meant you were a pioneer of craft beer. Ken definitely fits that definition. Ken today still runs the brewery. He never sold out to a major brewery. He never went public, sold stock or whatever, so he has no stockholders to answer to, and that translates into Sierra Nevada today being the largest privately owned brewery in the U.S. Pretty impressive work there, Ken. So today I thought I would kind of go over some of the other beers in Sierra Nevada's catalog. First and foremost, the Pale Ale. That's their flagship beer. I dare say, especially if you're of a certain age, that Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was probably the first pale ale a lot of people tried, and probably even the first craft beer a lot of people tried. I'm going to say it's probably within the first 2 or 3 craft beers I ever tried. It's either that or Sam Adams Boston Lager. And we have to remember in the context, late 80s, early 90s, whatever, those were craft beers. They were new. Most bars just held big boy brews, maybe Heineken and a Corona to throw in. So they were craft back then if you don't think they're craft now. The Pale Ale's been highly awarded. Gold at the Great American Beer Fest in 1983, 89, 90, 92, 93, and 95. It is, like I said, it is definitely their flagship beer. Couple of other original brews at Sierra Nevada were their stout and porters. Now today we kind of look at generic stouts and porters, just kind of a bland thing, but you got to remember the context. In the late 70s, early 80s, stouts and porters weren't really available. Probably the only stout that was really out there was Guinness Stout. And porters, I know Yingling had a porter, but there probably weren't a lot of porters out there. So again, these were very important beer styles at the time. The late beer writer, the late Michael Jackson, the beer writer, not the performer, said both these beers were deliciously malty and beautifully roasty. Next on the list is the Celebration Ale, first brewed 1981. It is their seasonal winter Christmas, holiday type beer. In certain beer competitions, it's considered an IPA. They consider it more just a real hoppy, malty, amber ale. So as far as style-wise, it's kind of in a no-man's zone. Next is their Killer Weiss. It's a Bavaria Hefeweizen they started producing in 2009. Kind of an homage to the classic German beer style and just the classic, or just the world of German beers in general. Next is their Barley Wine, known as Bigfoot Barley Wine. Comes in 9.6% ABV. On the bottle, you will see it says Barley Wine Style Ale, and that's because the federal regulators, the TTB, somehow are worried that someone will look at a bottle of barley wine and somehow confuse it with Cabernet. I don't know where they get that, but that is the reason for that. But it's a barley wine, great barley wine. And last but not least, the Chico Estate Harvest Ale. It's a special beer they do where they use organically grown hops and barley that's grown on premise at the brewery. And I think it's kind of cool. A lot of breweries don't have that kind of space or the capability to do that. It's kind of that grain to glass thing. Obviously, if you had a brewery out here in Las Vegas, however, you're not growing hops or barley out here. So I think that's a cool thing that they do. Well, before we try the beer, let's check out the stats. So today I thought I would review the style Indian Pale Ale, IPA, and kind of where it got that name. Most of you may know the story, but some of you might not. Indian Pale Ales got their name because a couple hundred years ago when the British had their empire across the world, they had a lot of their military in India, and a lot of those guys wanted to drink their classic ales from back home in England. So they would ship them beer, but they realized that the standard 4% beer or whatever just could not make that journey. It was a couple of months, I think, at least, from England to India by boat or whatever, and just the beers couldn't survive. So they created a style of beer where they ramped up the ABV, alcohol is always a good preservative, and they ramped up the hops. Hops has a kind of preservative quality. It was used as an antiseptic. People would use it sometimes on small cuts, stuff like that, and it was a great way to preserve the beer. So they bumped up the ABV, bumped up the hops, and to make the journey, when they got over there, they found out the troops really liked it. So it ended up becoming a popular style of beer. Real quickly over the numbers, SRM 6 to 12. Color-wise, we're looking at somewhere between like a blonde ale and like a Sam Adams Boston Lager, that kind of deep copper. IBUs 50 to 70. Like I said, we've ramped up the hop usage in the beer. An ABV 6.3 to 7.5. A standard IPA is not insane with the alcohol, but you're going to notice it's going to be mild to noticeable. But it's not the winter warmer like the Bigfoot Barley Wine would be. These beers are, again, because we've ramped up the hops, they're going to be high in hop aroma, high in hop flavor. They're going to be medium high to very high on hop bitterness. So if you don't like bitter beers, this might not be the style for you. And this is what, in my opinion, because IPAs became popular a few years ago, this is what led to, I've referred to this in previous videos, a kind of arms race in the use of hops. The American style IPAs are going to be more aggressive with the hops than the classic British styles. Now, they're still more bitter, hoppier, higher ABV beers compared to the standard kind of British pub style ale or whatever. But compared to the American ales, not near. Several producers of the IPAs here in the U.S. have really gone full tilt and wrapping up the IBUs and using the hops. I know Sam Calagione at Dogfish Head created something called the Enamel Mammal, where it was kind of like a bong, but you would drink the beer through it and it would go through fresh hops, just again, even to add even more hops. So people have taken the hop thing to extreme here, and it's the IPA style that most brewers kind of use those hops with. As far as finish, it's going to be a medium plus to longer finishing beer. This beer will stick with you a little while. Body-wise, it's a little more significant, but these beers are still very drinkable. They're not too viscous. Malt notes, you're going to get a little bread, a little biscuit, some caramel, but you're not going to quite get into the toffee, chocolate, coffee notes that we would get in a darker beer. They're just going to be some pleasant malt notes and a lot of bitterness. Well, enough talking about IPAs. Let's try the Torpedo Extra IPA from Sierra Nevada. Oh, I got my Great American Beer Fest glass from 2013. If you've never been, you gotta check it out. It really is. If you're a beer dork like me, it really is worth the trip. So we got a nice copper color, even though smaller glass, a decent light khaki head. Plenty of malt on here. actually the hop or the malt kind of matches up quite well with the hops. It's not hop dominant. Let's give her a taste. Oh man, that's a nice beer. Holy cow, it's a nice beer. Refreshing, drinkable, a nice malt start, and then those hops start to work their way in the back of the tongue. That bitterness starts to come in, but that malt's right there at first. Oh gosh. Real, almost a quenching style beer. It goes down easy. There's plenty of flavor. There's, enough mouthfeel. The finish, those hops stay with you for a little bit. But again, it's just flavors hitting different parts of my tongue. I get the sweet punch up front. It's not coating on the mouth, but it's hitting different parts of my palate. And overall, good. It's a warm day here in Vegas. And, normally when the weather gets a little warmer, you're wanting something a little lighter, less maltier, what have you. But, man, this beer goes down good even on a warm day. Overall, pretty good beer. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you would like me to try, and quick note on that, the liquor stores are finally opening up out here, so I can kind of get back to finding some of the more eclectic style beers. Probably for the next week or two, I'm going to try some of the bigger craft brands because that's kind of what's available in your grocery stores during times of quarantine. But like I said, the liquor stores are opening up, so we'll get back to some more eclectic brews. And with that being said, till next time, bottoms up.